Welcome back here with us on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Dorien here at Live 5 News, and we do want to give you the first alert as we still have some ongoing flooding issues, all in association with Tropical Storm Debby. Now let's get right to what we do have in terms of those impacts, because we are still tracking a little bit of additional rainfall, easily looking at those rain rates between 1 and 2 inches per hour. So an overall storm total, we could easily see 2 to 4 inches of rain, especially the farther north and west you are. That's because our center of circulation eventually making landfall later this evening and maybe even into the overnight hours. We're along the coastline of Upper Charleston County or Georgetown counties. That's also where we do find the gustiest of winds. And I'll show you those wind speeds in just a moment, but a good swath of 40 to 55 miles per hour can't be ruled out, especially as the storm is just taking on a little more strength just off the coastline. But that also does bring our storm surge to some lower totals, mostly for Georgetown County again. But notice that we still could see 1 to 2 feet coastal inundation, at least in the next several hours, especially closer to our high tide cycle. But with that risk moving to the north, we don't have to worry as much about tornadoes anymore, as the greatest environment is north of the low country. But be sure to download the Live 5 First Alert weather app, and we'll have more information more often to get you for the rest of Tropical Storm Debby. But right now, let's take a look at the 2 o'clock advisory, still toting wind speeds of 60 miles per hour, and we are still tracking that landfall as we get into the late evening hours. Overnight hours, this should be moving on shore, likely across Georgetown County or Upper Charleston County. But notice we are on a weakening trend as we get into the day tomorrow, and we'll start to notice that center of circulation pulling much further to the north. So that will start to reduce our rain chances, which we are seeing plenty of for the afternoon and evening hours. Take a look here closer to home, and the bulk of the heavy rainfall is actually back out across the I-95 corridor. This is a band of very repetitive rainfall, and even to the east of I-95, we still have some ongoing issues across Williamsburg and Georgetown counties. These rain rates have also been very high, and that's why we do have a flood advisory for those locations, even tracking the stills, the standing water that we have across portions of the Tri-County. But notice we still have a flash flood warning that's in effect for Clarendon and Orangeburg County. This will be allowed to expire at 4:45, as we still have a lot of rainfall there, and even tracking this general area where we did see up to 6 to 8 inches associated with Tropical Storm Debby so far. But a place that we are giving you the first alert to, especially out towards the Walterboro area, we already are approaching major flood stage on Ireland Creek, at least in the next several days. And with this rainfall, really will start to hurt the situation as we go into the next 10 and 15 minutes. But notice as well, even out across the metro, we had a good downpour earlier today. Now we are starting to see some of that activity move back across Folly Beach and even tracking across some portions of lower Charleston County. So just to give you an idea of what we are expecting for the rest of the evening, here's a look at our future tracker, and we still have some heavier rainfall, especially back out for some of our inland locations. This does give us the best opportunity to see a quick hitting 1 to 2 inches of rain, but I do think most of that rain will start to subside as we go into tomorrow and tomorrow night. But notice we still have some lingering rainfall after landfall, which I mentioned will be much later this evening or even into the early overnight hours. Still looking at plenty of wind, and we'll start to see at least some breaks in the clouds as we get into the afternoon and evening hours as the system eventually pulls off to the north. And the rainfall, as I mentioned, mostly confined to our far northern locations after we see this last batch of rain. So notice those rainfall totals up towards 1, 2, and even 3 inches for some of us there in Williamsburg and Georgetown counties. But let's recap here on the 7-day forecast. And we do want to give you the first alert one more day with Debby, and then we'll start to warm back up to seasonable values later on in the week.